the media was awash with a statement allegedly made by President Donald Trump sometime in April when he had a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari, that he said he never wants to see someone as lifeless as PMB, and we've seen reaction and counter-reactions. It was the Financial Times that published that story, but no specific statement from the U.S. government on that matter. The U.S. Consular Public Relations Officer was in Niger State recently, Mr. Aruba, and he said that the media where that statement came from should also be asked to authenticate it, and they didn't really say anything specific. But why has this issue become so viral in our political space to the point that people are reacting, people are counter-reacting? But we also know that the U.S. President Donald Trump has had a history of throwing tantrums at people, particularly African leaders. We can't forget in a hurry the shithole, saga, where he said that most African countries are shitholes. Eventually, he denied it. And there are instances where that has happened. In his closet, something is said and is in the public domain. He comes out and he denies it. Should we take this statement allegedly credited to President Donald Trump seriously? I have with me in the studio Harrison Izeko, is a legislator with Oredo local government. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Faris Okbere is also a public affairs commentator, politician. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much.
And I have St. Michael's Egwalge, is a civil society activist. St. Michael's, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let me start with Harrison, because you're very far from me now. I want to bring you close with a question. Yeah, is this statement something we should even take serious in any way?
Well, it's raising does because maybe it's close to the political era. One wants to say that it's not a serious statement anyway, because the statement did not actually emanate from the American president. There was no media that covered that when he was making such statement. It was a publication.
By Financial Times.
By Financial Times.
Saying that the president said it in the meeting he had with PMB.
The meeting was in April.
Yes.
PMB actually was there by 29, and it was an official visit, 4 days official visit to America.
On the invitation of
the President of America.
Yeah.
And we understand that even at that level, Donald Trump himself made so many arguments about the president. He was, even some people were even saying that he's even campaigning for him. So what will now happen that now you are not saying that the man is lifeless? I think for me, is not an information we should actually hold to a very large extent, because for me, the lawyers will say it's a make-off. It's just a publication. But let's see if Donald Trump himself will react, either positive or negatively. In the social media, Nigerians are saying so many issues and all that. Yeah. And I asked somebody yesterday, how old is Donald Trump? Donald Trump is 72 years. PMB is 74, I'll be 75. So what is the difference? So if you are saying that the man is too old, that is why he's making such comment. The person is making the comment, is he
any younger?
Is he younger?
Okay.
He's about 70, 72.
Okay.
Living American. Who people see as the world power. Okay. And the president is just 75. So I think is Donald Trump for now, everybody knows him that is someone who talks the way he wants to talk. Yeah. He's someone from the show business background, so he can say whatever he wants to say. But for now, we cannot hold him responsible because there is no evidence showing that that statement emanated from Donald Trump, the American president.
All right, Faris, the same report or the same meeting where Financial Times made that publication from also said that U.S. president commended our president, paid glowing tributes to him for his anti-corruption war and all other efforts being made to redirect the country.
Well, most of the comments made by Donald Trump, in as much as my brother said this election is a political season, I want to disagree with him. I completely disagree on that aspect, because that That's a very serious statement to make. That's a very serious statement, a very awful way to refer to a president. But if you look critically at that statement, you see that it was not just about being lifeless. He also said that he doesn't want to see the president again. You know, and that's very serious when the president of the free world, the president of America, says, I don't want to meet your president again because he is lifeless. And let's go back. President Mandela was around 76 when he became president, something like that. And nobody ever described him as lifeless. The problem is that those managing the president, Muhammadu Buhari, those managing his information, are not doing their job. Because the president spent close to 3 or more months in a London hospital last year, and up to now, those who are managing the president have not been able to come out and say, oh, look at what is wrong with the president, look at why he spent this amount of time in the hospital, look at his ailments and all that. So they kept the whole world guessing. And when you keep the whole world guessing, you keep having speculations and all things like that. And the meeting with Donald Trump was a flop. You know, the president had media people who were there, who were giving questions. You know, they were giving questions to ask him beforehand. You know, and that's not how to do. He was very cautious the way he spoke, and he didn't speak more than 4 or 5 sentences at a time. And it was a flop. So if you see yesterday, the president Donald Trump met with the president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta. You could see a very different atmosphere, and you see the aura, you know, the way he presented himself and the way he spoke. You know that that's a president to be proud of. You know, so Donald Trump is very blunt and he's very correct. You know, so in as much as he said other things about the fight against corruption, I mean, that's a different ballgame entirely. But the truth is that the focus of that Premium Times report said that he said he doesn't want to meet the president again, and the president was likely, and that is something to be worried about. That is something to be worried about for us as a people, as a country.
Okay, isn't that... Okay, let me pause you there. I'll come back to you. But let me bring Barrister St. Michael Zegwagi. Now, 2 countries at stake here. The United States and, of course, the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Here is Donald Trump allegedly throwing tantrums at our President Muhammadu Buhari. What do you make of that in its first place? What do you make of that?
Well, Mr. Sonny Duke, I'd like to reiterate the fact that I've never been a fan of Donald Trump. But there comes a time where you do not have to dismiss the messenger. You just have to concentrate on the message being conveyed. In 2015, I was among those persons who fervently campaigned for Buhari. And I also like to say that I have always voted Buhari since he ever aspired to the office of the presidency. Since 2003 to 2015, I voted him consecutively because I thought he struck me as a person who had the mental capacity, who had the credibility, you know, to galvanize our resource base in order to translate our environment to a state of social, economic, and political sublime. 3 years after, I'm being confronted with negative feelings. Since this man took over office in 2015, he's been in and out of the hospital, you know. He's been coming from the hospital bed in London, you know.
No, it was just once it was just once for that 3 months period that he was there. I mean, recently he was there on vacation, and then he came back. Yeah. So when you say in and out, I mean that would not be absolutely correct. But the question I want to ask you,
each time he goes to London,
yes,
he goes on a medical vacation.
The question I want to ask you is, do you think the indices on ground is feeling these discussions, reactions, and counter-reactions about the tantrums that President Donald Trump threw at President Muhammadu Buhari?
If you say indices, what do you mean exactly? Do you mean the political realities on ground?
The performance of the president?
Certainly. If you look at the country today, is it better off? Are we where we want to be? Is this how we designed the future to be as at 2015? Don't forget that the mandate that was given to Buhari was a mandate of change. But that mandate of change has been translated into a mandate of blame. What President Muhammadu Buhari and his handlers have done since 2015 is to blame the predecessor of Muhammadu Buhari. They will tell you, yes, we met the economy in a very poor state. But however, the promise they made us at that time was that they were coming to do things differently. They had what it takes, the magic wand, to translate our economy into a productive one.
Okay.
Today, so many Nigerians today cannot afford 3 square meals.
It's always been that way over the years.
In fact, that was alluded to by Theresa May before he came to Nigeria.
Yeah.
What was her comment? She said Nigeria today has become host, to the poorest people in the world. If very important personalities at the international fora begin to make serious statements such as this, it means there's a lot of truism.
Okay, let me pause it there. Harrison Zeko asked a question just now, which is that is there any way we can correlate the media hype about this alleged statement, I keep using the word alleged statement, by President Muhammadu Buhari, and the indices on the ground as it relates to government's ability to meet the yearnings and aspirations of the people based on promises made? Is there any correlation?
The indices is very clear. When you are in close to election period like this, the opposition, people look for ways to see how they can bring down their opponent. It's normal.
So are you saying the opposition?
No, everybody is not the opposition. Everybody that intends to contest against Buhari is already aware that the man wants to go for second term. They look for a way to make sure they can see things that they can say, okay, this is why you cannot do this, or you cannot do this. Like I said before, it is just it was alleged by a publication. There is no evidence that Donald Trump made these comments. Donald Trump invited the Nigerian president for so many years now. No Nigerian president had been invited by a sitting American president. It only happened in this administration. And the man went on official visit, and they discussed at what point this comment was made. The first day discussions were made. He had dinner with President Muhammadu Buhari. So when people are coming with this issue, at what point these comments were made? That visit was in April. This is August. It's just a few days ago this information came out. So when people are talking, you have to come with evidence. Donald Trump never make any. If Donald Trump want to make such comment, he will do it right away. The man is a no-nonsense man. He's a comedian. It doesn't need anybody to help him do the way he's supposed to be.
Donald Trump is not a comedian, he's a president.
He's a president. Yes. The way he does his things, he's a very funny person.
Okay.
So there is no convincing evidence. There is no evidence that this American president made this comment. Having said that, the president himself, you are aware that the same president of America approved software and fighting jet in Nigeria, which Barack Obama never did.
It's your business.
So if you do not have confidence on the president, why would you do such? If the president is lying, then why would you do such? The same business, the previous government offered money, but the American president refused. They offer money. And President Goodluck Jonathan offered money up to 2 or 3 times. But Barack Obama refused. Even an African by birth refused. But because this man saw some level of integrity, some level of direction in the president, he offered it. So if they were not in good, if he have said he doesn't want to see him, it's madness. He wouldn't have done that. So for me, it's just a mere puff. It's just another statement for the political scene in Nigeria to be very, very thick. Okay. That is not the issue.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So it's
a mere statement.
It's a mere statement.
Political statement.
From a publication, not from the city American president. Until the president come out openly to say that yes, I said it.
Okay. Let me get Faris in here. Why is Nigeria so? I mean, why the buzz about this statement? Why the buzz about this statement amongst Nigerians, particularly on the social media?
Thank you very much, Son Duke. Before I answer the question, let me quickly correct an impression. He mentioned just now that for a very long time, no Nigerian president has met with the sitting American president. That's not true. President Goodluck Jonathan did meet with Barack Obama yes. in 2011, 2012, thereabout. So that's completely false.
When was that?
Let's take it one at a time, Harrison.
When you say a very long time,
yeah.
You know,
I'm talking from facts. So make your statement.
That's not facts. You know, the facts are the immediate past president who just left office 3 years ago did meet with the former American president who just left office about 2 years ago.
Okay.
That's very correct. So that's fact. That's the facts. Now, to answer your question, the reason why you have this so much buzz is because Nigerians are yearning for a president that is full of life. You understand? Let's not correct it. Let's not hide it. You know, we all want a president that you be proud of, a president that has charisma, you know, that has that charisma, that is good looking. You know, not somebody who spends over 130-something days in a hospital in a year. And in that period, there was no information. The country was you know, there was so much apprehension in the country because nobody knew what was going on. Nigerians want, in fact, the world, those countries who want the best for Nigeria want a president that Nigeria can be proud of.
So that's the reason for this buzz?
Yes, that's why there's so much noise about it. If you notice recently, like my brother said, the British PM said that, not just she said, it's facts from publications that right now Nigeria has the highest amount of the poor people in the world. Let me break.
TMI. Every opinion counts.
Faris, we had you on. Just quickly anchor the point that you were making. You wanted to break down something.
Yes, I was trying to break down the statement by the British PM that Nigeria now has the highest amount of poorest people in the world.
Yes.
Now you have India. India has 1.2 billion people. And you have China that has about the same amount, 1.2 to 1.3 billion. Then you have Indonesia with over 600 million. And you have the United States with about 400 million. And you have Nigeria with a population of 200 million, approximately 200 million, having 80 million most poorest people in the world. That's a disaster. That is why President Buhari has to go. Because that tells you that...
No, let's not say he has to go because he has a right to contest.
Yeah, of course.
He has a right. When you say he has to go, it means that you are denying him of that right.
I'm not saying...
So it's not even enough for you to say he has to go. Leave it to the Nigerian people to decide. Yes.
But he's a Nigerian.
Yes.
I'm a Nigerian, but
he's not speaking on behalf of Nigeria. He's speaking on behalf of himself.
That figures show you that 40%, 40% or close to 40% of Nigerians are living below the poverty line.
Okay.
And, you know, about 10 years ago, when they released same figures, we had about 30% of Nigerians living below $1 a day. Okay. Now you have 40% more than 40%, and that's a disaster. That's something to be worried about.
Okay.
And these are the issues. These are the issues that these people are not hiding. They are not, with all due respect to Nigerian media, they are not. They are bringing out these issues and they're talking about it.
Okay.
So you cannot guard them. You cannot tell them not to say it. And these are facts. You can go out there and check it out.
Okay. Let me proceed. Getting final thoughts from you, St. Michael's.
Mr. Sonny,
Yes.
it's unfortunate that we don't have time to really discuss.
No, but let's do what we have. What we have. I'm grateful to God.
I really wanted to react to the points
that he raised.
That
the time
raised by Harris.
Yes.
I didn't want him to just go with those points. But quickly, I want to see here, very clearly, that the comments, by Donald Trump, is very, very correct. One.
In your opinion,
yes,
that's your opinion.
My own opinion.
Yes.
I'm a Nigerian.
Yes.
I'm entitled to my own opinion.
Yes.
One, that comment, was, his own personal assessments of what he perceived of President Muhammadu Buhari, having related with him and interacted with him at the Oval Office, and he had the right, to make his own judgment, and that's exactly what he did. I think the point he was trying to make is that. President Muhammadu Buhari does not.
But are you bothered with the fact that even Donald Trump has not come out to speak on this matter? What we're saying now is based on the report credited to the Financial Times, which was published on Monday.
Donald Duke, he does not have to do that. Do you know why? One, this statement, are you getting it now?
Yes.
Was credited to him by Financial Times.
Yes.
Now, no member of Donald Trump cabinet or Donald Trump himself has come out to disown the comment.
Statement.
Are you getting it now?
Yes.
That's one. That's the point. Secondly, the presidency through Femi Adesina and Mr. Lai Mohammed.
That's the Minister of Information.
Yes, it was a slip of tongue.
Okay. Don't let it happen again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Lai Mohammed.
Okay, let me help you pronounce it. Mr. Lai Mohammed. Yes. Yes.
Have come out to react. Now, how did Femi reacted? He said that that the statement is reckless, careless, and derogatory, and that it cannot even be authenticated. Even if it is authenticated, that no foreign power has the power to change the outcome of 2019. By that mere reaction, it has taken the information from the realm of rumor
to reality.
To reality, by my own assessment.
Okay, let's not. Yes.
Why would the presidency be reacting?
Okay,
why would they be losing sleep over the comments?
All right, let's proceed there, because we'll reconvene on Monday next week. 8 o'clock is the time. We'll be talking with these panelists. And just before we do that, let's get a final word from Buharis in his echo.
Like I said, Donald Trump never make any comments. It's just a newspaper.
Is it that Donald Trump never made any comment, or was a comment credited to a newspaper? Donald Trump has not come out to say he's giving any comment. Yeah.
He didn't make any comments.
Yes.
Until we were there, we followed the activity of the president for the past 44 days.
Yes.
No comment of such was made.
Okay.
This is the 4th month. So if a newspaper just make a comment from somewhere, and people don't take it, the presidential aide reacted, because Nigerians are still to become a political tool. So that is why they just let the air. So the president is fit. What about that of the president is fit, is strong. He had the right to contest election, and he will contest election. Those who feel they are not comfortable with him, when the election comes, they should vote.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, let's save the energy. Let's save the energy for another day. Let's save the energy for another day. Hopefully by Monday, God willing. Gentlemen, thank you for coming. Harrison Iseko, thank you for coming. Faris Okmere, thank you. St. Michael Zegwagi, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.